Hello, everybody. Today, I want to talk to you about technology. Technology, as in the computer, the cell phone, technology and social media technology that we use basically to interact with others, to make our life easy, and why technology is incomplete. Technology nowadays is a mystery to define. We don't understand technology. We don't understand the effects. We think or we imagine they are bad, right? Like, for example, kids using technology from an early age, become independent, not interacting, not socializing, adults not socializing, not interacting, right? And technology, we think of it as something that has advantages and disadvantages. It helps us, but I think that we overestimate technology. We think technology is the best, most complete, most perfect thing that exists, like the apex of human tools or human instruments, right? We think that technology is the ultimate instrument to help us make our lives easier. And for so long, I have been trying to understand technology, and I think I can understand it a little bit better. So, first, I want to start with the first point to reach the conclusion that technology is incomplete. Technology is an isolated activity. When we use our cell phones or our computers, we are alone, essentially. Using technology is not far from reading a book, for example, or just listening to music alone, or being alone, doing nothing, or watching TV alone. When we are on our phones, we think that we are socializing, but we really aren't. We are just alone. So when we read different books, we read from different people. When we are on the internet, we read from different people, right? Posts or articles or videos or whatever, but we're not really responding, right? So basically, here we need to consider that technology is an individual activity, and it's basically a mental activity, right? And humans also need to interact. We need the social aspect of things. We need to interact with people, right? We need to communicate with them. And this basically uh, leads me to my second point, which is technology is not social, not a social thing, which basically goes hand to hand with the concept that technology is an isolated activity. It's for an individual. So let's consider messaging. You say, well, technology can be social because I can send a text message, receive a text message, you know, and if we look at the fundamentals of communication, we see that communication essentially is more nonverbal than verbal, or more, we can say non-written than written. I don't know if that's correct. Sorry if it's not. But when we text, we're not really communicating feelings, for example. We're not aware of the speed that someone is talking. We're not aware of the tone in which they're saying something. And let's not even start on nonverbal communication, which, for example, somebody's sad. It could be, for somebody sad, it could be a hug, it could be a pat on the back, right? We can't do that with technology. We can't, we can use emojis or something like that, but how are you going to, for example, express this if you say to somebody, and I told them over and over and over, how are you going to transmit that emotion with a message, with a text message? So basically, we need to consider all these other things. Now, there are other tools, right? Like we can use voice messages. Those deliver the message, and they also deliver the tone, the speed, but they don't deliver the nonverbal communication. Um, and maybe the closest thing that I can think of is using technology uh, to talk with others through Zoom or through FaceTiming. I think that, or in groups where you're really interacting with other people, right? But even then, it's difficult to read the whole body language, right? Where the feet are, if their knee is shaky, if their leg is shaky, right? If their foot, how are they, you know, from the head down? So I think maybe holographic technology could help us in that sense, but technology basically, in conclusion, has a lot to to do still. It's incomplete, and things either technology needs to eventually become more advanced and more human-like, or we need to change and we are going to become more technological like, because uh, it's basically eliminating a lot of human factors, right? It's helping us in a lot of things, but it's also, eliminating those factors that we're not really using anymore, like socializing, talking with other people, right? We need to experience life, not just conceptually, because when we are on our phone or reading a book or understanding things on an intellectual level, we that's conceptual, right? We're not moving. And like Brad Pitt said in World War Z, movement is life. We have to move, right? We have to interact. We have to smell. How are you going to describe the smell of something you are making in the kitchen through a text message or through an audio or through a FaceTime, right? You have to be there. You have to smell it. You have to experience it, and that experience is what we're not receiving anymore. We're basically eliminating the emotional, aspect of human life. That's what's happening. We are very intellectually, able. We're thinking a lot. We're receiving a lot of information, right? We're becoming, stimulated with knowledge, but we're not exercising the sensorial aspect of things. We're not really interacting anymore. We're not feeling anymore. And that's actually, I was reading this book, and one of the emotional categories, one of the synonyms, conceptual synonyms for it was conduct, right? And I remember maybe 20 years ago, you would hear of bad conduct, misconduct, bad behavior, right? And that ties in with the emotional. Nowadays, there's no misbehavior, for example, in schools. Everybody is more, like indifferent, and that's because we are eliminating the emotional factor, right? So in conclusion, technology either has to become more advanced where we can really communicate with other people, really interact with other people as we would do on a Saturday afternoon at a restaurant, at home with our families, um, or things like this, or we are going to become more, mind oriented, right? Strictly mind, no heart, no soul, more like machines. So just something to think about. Thank you for watching this video. And if you have questions, you can write them in the comments.